And I'm delighted to say here I am with the English Fiddle Ensemble, who are Ross, Rosie, Bryony and Jim, sitting down here. Thank you very much for joining us. Brilliant, brilliant performance as always. I've got one massively important question to ask before we go any further, which is, Bryony, you can help me out here. What is the difference between a violin and a fiddle?
It's the way you play it. It's the same instrument, it's just the style.
Well, give me a bit. That's not very informative.
Okay, so if I was playing classical music, I would call it my violin, but we're playing traditional folk tunes, so it's fiddle tunes, really.
Okay.
Yeah, that's definitely
So there's absolutely no difference whatsoever. It's just what you're doing with it. Okay.
We do get that question an awful lot. It's one of the questions I hear a lot when I'm out on the folk scene. Yeah. When you're playing in the public, people say, "Oh, is it a fiddle or a violin?"
I'm sorry to be predictable, but it's a good question. How long, Jim? How long have you all been together?
We've been playing. Well, we started just before the pandemic, didn't we? And then obviously we had a massive gap. So yeah, on and off for since about 2019, 2020.
Yeah. But we only started gigging properly in sort of 2021, really.
Yeah, no.
First festivals were last year, weren't they? So this is our second year of doing festivals, really.
What brought you together? Because, I mean, four incredible talents operating independently. Would you sort of gravitate like some sort of planetary motion? You're attracted. What brought you all together? How did you come across each other?
Well, we're all friends anyway, so we kind of hang around playing music kind of socially with each other. And was it your idea, Brian?
Well, I've talked about it for quite a long time, saying we ought to have an English fiddle thing. And me and Jim had talked about it, and then I'd talked to Ross about it on separate occasions. And then I think, did I just message you and go, shall we do this thing? And then we went, ooh, and shall we have Rosie as well, because she's brilliant. And that was it, really. Yeah.
Well, that's always a good credit to have, isn't it? So what are your backgrounds? I mean, one thinks of the violin, if not the fiddle, as a sort of quite a stern classical instrument. Are you all classically trained? Have you just been playing since childhood?
I think we're all from fairly different backgrounds, actually. So I grew up classically trained, but going to festivals like this from a very young age. So I was kind of doing a bit of both, but did a lot of kind of reading from sheet music. But there's people in the band that don't read sheet music at all, picking it all up by ear, and are much better at picking it up by ear than I am. And so we've got really different skills and kind of different backgrounds, which is part of the nice thing about the band, really, I think.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that brilliant people can't read the dots. It makes a lot of us feel a lot better about that.
I am self-taught and I just can't really read a dot of music. It's all by ear.
Oh, God, that makes me so happy. Tell us about your set today. What are you going to be playing for us, Brian?
So it's all traditional English tunes from all over England, really. We've got some quite unusual tunes. We've got a couple that are more commonly played in sessions and things, but we've tried to find slightly more unusual tunes. We've gone through a lot of the old manuscripts and found some sort of funky tunes that aren't being played by other people, I think. And I think the main thing about it is the harmonies that you can get out of it. So the tune is really important as well, but it's whether or not you can stick some really chunky chords to it and some lush harmonies and all that. Because that's the thing, when you've got the four instruments sort of resonating together, you get a really unique sound that you don't get with other instruments.
Well, that's the thing about the fiddle or the violin, that it's the closest thing you can get to the voice, really. I mean, that's why that's the sort of the lead instrument in classical music and classical orchestra. And it's perfect in folk, but why hasn't the fiddle or the violin gone into all sorts of other genres of music as much? I mean, it's in country as well, but why is there no fiddling rock and roll? Why is there no fiddling jazz,
Well, there definitely are jazz fiddlers, I think there's, and yeah, I think there's little bits here and there if you seek it out. I think sometimes it's more of a case of looking a bit harder for it, but they are in there in different genres, certainly jazz. But yeah, I mean, I suppose we just stick mostly to what we know and what we love doing. But yeah,
brilliant, all of you. That was a fantastic set. Thank you so much. Everybody enjoyed it so much, and I think we've answered that most fundamental question. Fiddle, violin, it's all about what you do with it.